Trust is one of the most important parts of any relationship, but it is also one of the most fragile. It can take months, years, or even a lifetime to build. And yet, in one moment, one lie, one betrayal, one broken promise, or one repeated disappointment, trust can begin to collapse. This is why trust carries so much emotional weight. When trust is present, people relax. They do not have to constantly question where they stand. They do not have to read every silence as danger. They do not have to wonder if the person in front of them is being honest. They do not have to protect themselves from the relationship itself. But when trust is damaged, everything changes. A delayed message can feel suspicious. A small inconsistency can feel threatening. A change in tone can create anxiety. A simple explanation can feel incomplete, and suddenly the relationship no longer feels like a place of safety. It feels like a place of uncertainty. This is the psychology of trust. And in this episode, we are going to look at why trust is so hard to build, why it is so easy to break, and why trust is not only about loyalty. It is also about consistency, honesty, emotional safety, and repair. In the previous episode, we explored emotional distance, why people pull away, go silent, become unavailable, or slowly disconnect even when they still care. But often, beneath emotional distance, there is a question of trust. Can I trust you with my feelings? Can I trust you to be honest? Can I trust you to stay present when things become difficult? Can I trust that my vulnerability will not be used against me? Can I trust that your words and actions will match? These questions matter because trust is not built only by big promises. It is built by repeated experiences. Every relationship teaches us whether it is safe to be open. It teaches us through words, but also through patterns. Does this person listen when I speak honestly? Do they keep their commitments? Do they take responsibility when they hurt me? Do they dismiss my concerns or take them seriously? Do they make me feel emotionally safe or emotionally uncertain? Over time, the answers to these questions become the foundation of trust, not because one perfect moment proves everything, but because repeated behavior creates emotional evidence. Trust grows when someone's actions consistently say, "You are safe here. Your feelings matter here. My words mean something here. I will not disappear when things become uncomfortable. I will not pretend nothing happened when repair is needed." This is why trust cannot be demanded. It must be demonstrated. A person may say, "Trust me," but if their behavior keeps creating confusion, fear, or disappointment, the words alone will not be enough. Trust listens to actions more than promises. It watches patterns more than explanations. It pays attention to consistency more than charm. And this is where many relationships struggle, because people often want to be trusted without becoming trustworthy in the places where trust was damaged. They want the benefit of trust without the discipline of rebuilding it. They may say, "Why can't you just move on?" But trust does not return simply because someone wants the discomfort to end. Trust returns when safety is rebuilt through honesty, patience, and repeated reliability. One reason trust is so hard to build is that every person carries a history. No one enters a relationship with a completely untouched heart. Some people have been lied to. Some have been abandoned. Some have been manipulated. Some have been betrayed by people they deeply trusted. Some grew up in homes where promises were not kept, emotions were dismissed, or love felt unpredictable. So when they enter new relationships, trust may not come easily. They may want to trust, but a part of them is watching for danger. They may question things more than they wish they did. They may need reassurance, not because they want control, but because uncertainty feels familiar and frightening. This can be difficult for both people. The person with trust wounds may feel ashamed of their fear. The other person may feel unfairly judged for pain they did not create. This is where maturity is needed, because past wounds should not be allowed to punish present love. But present love also needs to understand why trust may take time. A healthy relationship does not say, "Your past is not my problem." It also does not say, My past gives me permission to accuse you forever. The healthier path is more honest. I know my fear comes from old pain, but I am trying to understand it. And I know I did not create that pain, but I want to help build safety with you. Trust grows when both people can hold truth without using it as a weapon. Another reason trust breaks easily is that betrayal is not always dramatic. When people hear the word betrayal, they often think of one major act. But trust can also be damaged slowly, through repeated dishonesty, through broken small promises, through emotional inconsistency, through saying one thing and doing another, through making someone feel foolish for believing you, through dismissing concerns until the other person stops sharing them. These smaller betrayals may not look serious from the outside, but emotionally they matter because trust is built in ordinary moments. If someone says they will call and repeatedly does not, trust is affected. If someone promises to change but never changes, trust is affected. If someone apologizes but repeats the same behavior, trust is affected. If someone listens only when there are consequences, trust is affected. Trust does not only break when someone does something extreme, it also breaks when someone repeatedly teaches another person that their words cannot be relied on. This is why consistency is so important. Consistency may not look exciting, it may not feel dramatic, but it is one of the strongest builders of emotional safety. Consistency says, you do not have to guess who I will be today. You do not have to wonder if my care will disappear tomorrow. You do not have to beg me to respect what I already said mattered. You do not have to live in emotional uncertainty. In relationships, inconsistency creates anxiety. Consistency creates rest, and many people are not looking for perfection. They are looking for rest. They want to know that the relationship is not a place where they must constantly prepare for the next disappointment. Another reason trust is so fragile is that vulnerability depends on it. To trust someone is to allow them access to something real. Your feelings, your fears, your history, your needs, your mistakes, your tenderness, and your hope. And when someone mishandles that vulnerability, the wound can be deep. If a person shares pain and it is mocked, trust is damaged. If they reveal insecurity and it is later used against them, trust is damaged. If they ask for support and are met with indifference, trust is damaged. If they tell the truth and are punished for it, trust is damaged. This is why emotional trust matters just as much as physical loyalty. A person may be faithful in one sense and still emotionally unsafe in another. They may not betray the relationship through another person, but they may betray it through contempt, humiliation, emotional neglect, or repeated disregard. Trust is not only about asking, "Did you cheat?" It is also about asking, "Can I be honest with you? Can I be weak in front of you? Can I make a mistake and still be treated with dignity? Can I tell you something difficult without being punished for it? Can I trust you not to turn my vulnerability into a weapon?" These questions reveal the deeper quality of trust, because a relationship can look stable from the outside and still be unsafe on the inside. Now we come to an important midpoint. If trust is broken, can it be rebuilt? Sometimes, yes, but not through denial, not through pressure, not through saying, "You should be over it by now." Trust is rebuilt through repair, and real repair has several parts. First, there must be honesty, not partial honesty. Not only admitting what can no longer be denied, not changing the story when new details appear. Real honesty means bringing the truth to light, even when it is uncomfortable, because trust cannot be rebuilt on more confusion. Second, there must be responsibility. Responsibility says, "I see what I did. I understand that it affected you. I will not make you carry the blame for my choices." This is different from shame. Shame says, "I am terrible." Responsibility says, "I caused harm, and I must respond with maturity." Third, there must be patience. The person who broke trust may want quick forgiveness because guilt is uncomfortable. But the person who was hurt may need time. They may need consistency. They may need questions answered. They may need to observe whether change is real. They may need to feel safe again slowly. Trust cannot be rushed back into place. It must be rebuilt one honest moment at a time. Fourth, there must be change of behaviour. This is the part many people miss. An apology without change may create temporary relief, but it does not rebuild trust. If the same pattern continues, the apology begins to lose meaning. Eventually, the person who was hurt stops listening to the words and starts believing the pattern. That is why repair is not only about saying the right thing. It is about becoming reliable in the place where harm happened. If dishonesty broke trust, honesty must become consistent. If emotional absence broke trust, presence must become consistent. If broken promises damage trust, follow-through must become consistent. If defensiveness hurt the relationship, humility must become consistent. Trust returns when the injured person no longer has to rely only on hope. They begin to see evidence. But we must also be honest. Not all trust can be rebuilt. Some people want forgiveness without accountability. Some want closeness without change. Some want the relationship to continue without ever facing what they damaged. Some people are sorry for the consequences, but not truly sorry for the harm. In those cases, trust may not be restored, because trust is not a gift we owe to someone who continues to be unsafe. Trust is a response to trustworthy behaviour. This matters because some people feel guilty for not trusting again quickly. They may think, if I were more loving, I would just move on. But love does not require emotional blindness. Forgiveness, if it comes, does not always mean full access is restored. A person can forgive and still need boundaries. A person can care and still need distance. A person can understand why something happened and still decide that trust has not been rebuilt. This is not bitterness. Sometimes it is wisdom. Healthy trust requires both openness and discernment. If we trust no one, we become isolated. But if we trust everyone without paying attention to behavior, we become vulnerable to repeated harm. The goal is not to become suspicious of everyone. The goal is to become wise. Wise enough to know that trust should be built slowly. Wise enough to notice consistency. Wise enough to pay attention when words and actions do not match. Wise enough to give people room to grow, but not unlimited permission to keep causing harm. This is where self-trust becomes important. Many people focus only on whether they can trust others. But they also need to ask, can I trust myself to pay attention? Can I trust myself to speak when something feels wrong? Can I trust myself not to ignore repeated red flags? Can I trust myself to leave situations that keep damaging me? Can I trust myself to tell the truth about what I see? Self-trust is the foundation that helps us relate to others with clarity. Without self-trust, people may stay too long in unsafe relationships. They may doubt their own perception. They may excuse what keeps hurting them. They may confuse hope with evidence. But when self-trust grows, a person becomes calmer. They do not need to control everything. They do not need to accuse without cause. They do not need to ignore what is obvious. They can say, I am open to trust, but I will also pay attention. That is maturity. So as we close this episode, remember this. Trust is hard to build because it requires repeated safety. Trust is easy to break because one painful truth can change the meaning of many past moments. But trust is not only about betrayal. It is about emotional safety. It is about consistency. It is about whether a person's words and actions can live in the same place. It is about whether vulnerability is honored or mishandled. It is about whether repair is real or only spoken. And perhaps most importantly, trust is not built by asking for it. It is built by becoming the kind of person whose presence makes honesty, safety, and openness possible. In the next episode, we will explore how childhood shapes adult relationships and why many of our deepest fears, expectations, and emotional reactions began long before our current relationships ever existed. If this video gave you something to reflect on, take a moment to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. And before you leave, ask yourself this: do my actions give people a reason to trust me? And do I trust myself enough to recognize when trust has not been earned?